And the next question is from Drummer George Sue. Ego, do you think that Jim Lampley and Max Kellerman were hypocrites when they praised Gilberto Ramirez and other Mexican fighters like Salvador Sanchez and Juan Manuel Marquez for being boxers? In my opinion, I took great offense to this because they, especially Lampley, talk about Triple G's quote-unquote Mexican style, but are now praising Mexican boxers when they either I can't read, I'm Floyd Mayweather, or what is that? Downgrade. That's not how you spell it, but downgrade fighters like Rigo, Floyd, and Ward for these same skills. No, there's definitely a hypocrisy there. Like, see, this is the thing. HBO will push this action agenda, meaning you have to be like a Ruslan, Provodnikov, come forward, slugfest type of fight. That's what they like. Like Kovalev brings that, even though Kovalev's a really good boxer too. But since he has menacing power, you typically are going to see a knockdown or a fighter on unsteady legs and things like that. And fights like that, Gennady Golovkin, when it comes to bring the pain and stuff like that. So they do a lot to praise that. But then they don't give Vasyl Lomachenko fights the same criticism that they give Rigondeaux fights. I remember on the Cotto Canelo undercard, Rigondeaux was a 2-week replacement. Keep in mind, it was like 2 weeks to prepare. You're lucky he even made weight. I know fighters, I know them personally, that if you gave them a 2-week notice and said, hey, we want you on a main pay-per-view card, you got to make this weight, and they only had 2 weeks to prepare, even if they wanted to, they'd either have to kill themselves to do it, or they couldn't make that contracted weight, or they'd have to request a higher weight because they wouldn't be ready. Rigondeaux luckily stays in shape year-round for the most part, disciplined athlete lifestyle. So he was able to make the weight, and they had the audacity to, and trust me, out of all Rigondeaux performances, I don't think he looked as sharp as he normally does. See, I'm a realist. I'll tell you what it is, but I also take into consideration he only had 2 weeks to prepare. I mean, he didn't have a full camp. So, I mean, look at Nate Diaz versus Conor McGregor. He was getting kind of busted up. He had 11 days to prepare. And even though he got the job done, Rigondeaux got the job done too, even though those were different disciplines, different fighters, different styles and stuff. But what I'm saying is, imagine if Nate Diaz had a full training camp instead of 11 days. I mean, he came into that focus with only 11 days to prepare. Same thing with Rigondeaux. He had about 11 to 14 days to prepare for himself. And HBO trashed him. Oh, this is boring. I've seen Vasyl Lomachenko fights where he's just using a lot of lateral movement, picking off his shots. He's not necessarily a huge puncher for the division. I actually thought when he first came out, I thought he was a big puncher, but he's really not. Like he doesn't have like Johnny Gonzalez, Gary Russell Jr., Walters power, in my opinion. I actually was surprised because I thought he had more power. But anyway, when he has a great boxing exhibition where he's just doing what he wants, using movement and stuff, you never hear the same types of critiques. So it's just it's super biased and hypocritical that they do that. I have no problem seeing. This is the thing, I seen Gilberto Ramirez live and he didn't look that great to me on his HBO debut. I was out there in Colorado. Shout out to all my people in Colorado. But he looked a lot better in this fight. He looked good, and Arthur Abram looked like trash. So credit to the young fighter. It looks like he's studying his craft. I have no problem with that, and I'll tell you that. So that's me. I keep it consistent. I love, one of my guilty pleasures is like a Ruslan Provodnikov. I like watching Ruslan fight. He's just, you know what I mean? No defense. You know what he's coming. That's why I'm looking forward to John Molina versus Ruslan Provodnikov, because I go into the fight expecting a war. I know neither one of them is just known for defense. And my dude John Molina follows me too on Twitter and Snapchat. Make sure you guys follow him. But I know what to expect. I mean, that's not a knock on them. That's just, they're not renowned for defense like a Pernell Whitaker, Mayweather, or nothing. They're not known for that. So I know what to expect. So I have no problem with any style in boxing. And that's what makes boxing fun, matching the different styles. But HBO seems to be action driven, and they're looking for that big action fight. But then when there's fighters that they want to protect that box more, like if it's a Chocolatito or Vasyl Lomachenko that they're highly promoting, then they don't complain. But if it's a Rigondeaux that they don't care about promoting, he's not really bringing in the dough or whatever for him, or the ratings, then they'll bash him. So it is bad. But I had no problem with Gilberto Ramirez. Juan Manuel Marquez is one of my favorites of all time. One of my favorite counterpunchers. So that's me. I'm consistent. I can't speak for HBO, but I do see the hypocrisies it sounds like you see where they'll condemn certain fighters for boxing and then others they don't. Next question, Eatman888, hashtag new media. Expect it, new media is here. The time is now. Can't come soon enough. Why the hell they keep referencing May-Pac as boring and not focusing on part 3 of Pac-Man versus Tim instead? Laughing my ass off. I know the fight game is upset with ESPN for giving Floyd fighter of the era, laugh out loud, which says a lot since ESPN has been hating on homie for years. I'm glad you and Dante's Boxing Nation putting in work, because if it wasn't for you guys, I would be turned off from boxing reporting. Media nowadays have too much of an agenda beef, and I agree with that. I guess you don't even have a question, but yeah, man, new media is here, and it's just time. We got to restore order. I never, like, here's a prime example. People say, Ego, you're racist. Name something that I said that oppressed somebody's race. Where did I ever call any race out, slander, or do anything to anybody's race? If I say someone doesn't have the resume they should have, that doesn't have nothing to do with their race. You know what I'm saying? So the new media is here to expose all that dumb stuff. People use all these scapegoats. Oh, you're racist. It's just because you can't argue with what I'm saying, so you have to throw names and throw rocks and, oh, you're racist. If I'm racist, what did I say that was racist? Name one thing. Make a video proving that I'm a racist. Like, take audio. I have over 2,000 videos on here, so it should be easy, right? You just get an audio clip of what I said, rip it to your computer, and say, hey, look, listen to this, everybody. Ego's racist because he said X, Y, and Z. And you won't find that because it had nothing to do with race. I call it like I see. And the new media, I'm telling you, people are gonna get shaken up because boxing doesn't need all this, like these double standards and stuff. I call it like I see. I'm not, you know what I mean? I'm a student of the game. I'm still learning stuff about boxing, but I never do half of what you see some people do. Like in terms of this person's a bum, they're a bitch. I'm not doing all that. I'm telling you, I'm talking boxing. A lot of people don't want to talk boxing. They want to talk about gays and dicks and different stuff like that. I'm here to talk boxing, and if it ain't that, then I don't really have nothing to say. Next question is from Roberto Espinoza Torres. May-Pac 2, would you like to see it? No. I mean, I'll watch it, but I don't really crave it. I'd have Mayweather by TKO. Also, have you been seeing the resurrection of Pacquiao fans since beating Bradley? Shaking my head. I've been seeing some delusional comments by them. I mean, it is what it is. I think the outcome, I don't want to see Mayweather Pac 2 because I think the outcome will be the same, if not worse. Just because Pacquiao, I mean, the bottom line is he couldn't close the distance. Tim Bradley is not as much of an executive decision maker like Floyd. The other thing is Tim Bradley has like T-Rex arms. His arms are short. You know what I mean? He's even shorter than Pacquiao. Mayweather has 72-inch long arms. So on top of that, he has impeccable timing, long ass arms, and I think he has more pop, more respectable power than Tim Bradley. He's more precise and accurate. So it's a totally different fight. Pacquiao, in all honesty, I had him winning the first 2 fights, which is why I didn't want to see the third fight, because I thought he already did what he needed to do in the first 2 fights. Now the Marquez fights, there was controversy in those, so I didn't even want to see the 4th fight per se, but I understood it. Just because they were fighting for 4 times, that was kind of a lot, but I understood it more because there was some controversy. I thought he definitely won the 3rd fight. And, you know what I mean, some of the other ones were close, like the 2nd fight was close. So, and the knockdown might have been the difference. So, I don't care for Mayweather Pacquiao 2, but, I mean, business is business. They can make a lot of money by doing it. So, they might do it, but I just feel like the outcome will be the same based on the styles. Dream Chasing Boxing has the next question. Ego, is it just me, or did Pacquiao look a step slower and disinterested in the ring versus Bradley? I mean, he looked sharp, but he's looked disinterested in a while. Like he's kind of going through the motions. I kind of got that feeling too. And I'm not trying to bash his performance. He did what he had to do against Bradley. He clearly won the fight, but much like Floyd, I think both of them have drastically slowed down. I mean, it comes with age, but they are at such a high level they could still beat most guys. What are your thoughts on that and Pacquiao versus Canelo? Yeah, age, they're both they're both anomalies, so they can probably last longer than a Kermit Cintron or a guy like that. You know what I'm saying? Because they're special fighters to begin with, and Father Time is not going to pardon anyone. So yeah, they probably have got slower. Like, you know what I mean? Like when I look at Floyd Mayweather versus Marquez, he wasn't getting hit with anything, and Marquez is a hell of a counterpuncher with power, right? And he did that off a 21-month layoff. And then I seen him get hit with some shots by Maidana. So I mean, I don't know if Floyd was the same, you know what I mean, when he was fighting Sugar Shane Mosley, Cotto's, and Marquez's, if that was the same Floyd. You know what I mean? He looked a touch slower versus Marquez or versus Maidana. And maybe it was because Maidana's unorthodox and bigger and was willing to do whatever and kind of fight dirty in that first fight. So I don't know, but I mean, he had a busted lip at the end of that fight, so it looked like he got hit a little bit more than with certain shots that he probably didn't or wouldn't get hit with in the past. So I believe that for both guys. Yeah, I think Time, I mean, they're at the end chapters of their career, so they both have slowed down in my opinion. Pacquiao Canelo, I'll watch it. I give Pacquiao very little chance. Prime Pacquiao, when he was running through De La Hoya's and Cotto's, that's a different story. But what I've seen is a Pacquiao who, like you said, looked maybe a touch slower, and he clearly looks smaller, like at his weigh-ins and when he's flexing and stuff. He's not in terrible shape, but I'm comparing it obviously to past Pacquiao when he was in the Mosley camp, when he was in the Cotto fight. He was no body fat on him. He didn't look soft. His pecs, he looked very vascular. He looked ripped and shredded. Now he just looks like lean, like a, you know what I mean, guy just who's older, who's still in some shape. So that's another thing. Canelo's fucking big. I just think Canelo's too big, and it's not the same. Like, you know what I'm saying? I don't know. I just don't see. Pacquiao hasn't knocked anyone out since 2009. So it'd be a real dangerous fight against a young kid like Canelo, because Mayweather, when he fought Canelo, he has the ability. He's more elusive. He's not getting hit with shots. And we just seen Pacquiao getting hurt by Bradley in the 8th round, like badly hurt. So imagine a taller fighter. Bradley's shorter than Pacquiao, as I mentioned earlier. A taller fighter like Canelo, who's like maybe 5'8.5", 5'9", going in there with Pacquiao. Good hand speed, slow feet, but good hand speed. Just a real dangerous fight. Again, I'll watch it. I'm a boxing fan, so I'll watch just about anything, especially with big names. But that's a bad fight. We'll see more about it when Canelo fights Khan, which is quasi-similar style-wise. So, you know what I mean, depending on that. If he looked horrible versus Khan, then okay, maybe I'll rethink it. But I don't think he'll lose to Khan, right? So Pacquiao Canelo is just a tough fight for Pacquiao at this point of his career. Next question, Jose Navarro. What up, Ego? After tonight, where do you think Gilberto Ramirez ranks within the super middleweight class? I mean, he's a champion now. There's nothing no one really can say now. He won against a respected name in the division, a guy with recent wins, a guy with power, a guy with way more pro level experience. There's nothing really, he's ready now. I mean, there's nothing you can say. That should be a huge confidence boost because he did it his way. He was able to box and move. I never really seen him move like that. So it shows a good level of game planning with his team. The fact that they incorporated movement, which he hasn't really showed that in his previous fights on True TV or the fight that I was at live. So that's good too. So, I mean, he's a champion now. So, I mean, I'm definitely going to rank him. Plus, Andre Ward's no longer in the division. So everybody in the division is basically new champions. James DeGale, he just beat Anthony Durrell not too long ago, became a champion. Badou Jack beat Anthony Durrell and became a champion. So, I mean, they're all about the same echelon. They're all new champions. And some have title defenses, but no one is just on an Andre Ward level at super middleweight or a Carl Froch level where they just beat everybody who they needed to beat. So, I mean, Gilberto Ramirez is a live dog with any of those dudes, especially with being 6'2.5", 6'3", and willing to learn. That's important. People don't realize that. It looks like he's willing to try to get better. Like he's I'm telling you, I seen him live and I was not impressed at all, right? And I was trying to be impressed because I met his team. They were cool as hell, and we were just all talking. We were in the same hotel, and things like that. So I wanted to see him do good. But when I seen him, I was like, this is the kid they're talking about. They were the way they were pumping him up. I was like, okay. I was expecting something great, but he looked good there, and we're versus Abrams. So I like that. I just want to see him keep growing and keep being disciplined and learning. Don't do the Chavez Jr. route where you think you don't have to work for this. And who do you think he should fight next? In my opinion, a shot at Felix Sturm for the WBA Super would be a great fight for him. Yeah, I would say Felix Sturm would be a type of fight that he should take next. I don't think he should try to unify with Badou Jack or James DeGale quite yet. Let that fight build, and I don't even know how that would work with Top Rank, and some of those guys are out Heyman, so I don't know. But Felix Sturm sounds like a good, or maybe just to stay busy fight, just to, you know, get a title defense in, stay active, and then start gunning for some of the bigger fights. Next question, Dion Brown, Ego, out of Joshua Wilder and Ortiz, who has the most one-punch knockout power in your opinion? And that is a hard-ass question. Very hard question. I really, honestly, I don't even think I have an answer for that. And I usually don't get stumped when I'm doing this, but this is a freestyle. I don't know who has more one punch, because Deontay Wilder's right hand is nasty. People look like they're having a seizure when they're on the ground with it. Anthony Joshua has nasty power, but I've seen guys, they're clearly hurt and bothered. But Charles Martin, his eyes were open. You know what I'm saying? When Charles Martin, he was clearly hurt, and I think he was pretty much done for. He had no legs, but he was still awake and stuff like that. You look at Wilder versus Spilka, he was crucified on the ground, literally. His arms were like spread out, and he looked like he was on a cross, like nailed to a cross. I've seen Ortiz's power look pretty devastating too, like where it's just like, man, these guys don't really, they look discombobulated. But I don't know. That's a tough question, because I've seen Anthony Joshua knock dudes out too. But the best names on his division, like Dillian White, he knocked him. I don't know. He hurt Dillian White. I'd say they're pretty much, they're all neck and neck. I think they need to fight each other so I could truly get a gauge of who has the best power. I would say Ortiz has the best technique, so therefore he might have the most power. I don't know though, because I interviewed Brian Jennings and he said he has power, but it was tolerable. So I don't know. Maybe Wilder. That's a really tough question. You guys answer that in the comment section. Next question, Julio C. What's next for Pacquiao? Retirement. Since he looked good against Bradley, who should he fight next apart from retiring? Oh, okay, so that's the other part. Terrence Crawford. That's who I think he should fight. Truth be told, I mean, he got hurt by Bradley, so I really feel like the Thurman Porter winner, Kell Brook, guys like that, Earl Spence, if he beats Chris Algieri, those guys might be a little bit too big and strong for him at this particular point, and hungry. I don't know how hungry Pacquiao is for this. Like, he doesn't look like the same Pacquiao. I don't know, he has more distractions and the gay stuff and looks smaller. So I would say Terrence Crawford, because Crawford hasn't fought above 140. Pacquiao, I don't know if they would fight at 140, but Pacquiao might be able to just come down to 140, or Crawford would be moving up to 147, which Pacquiao has experience at. So that's a pretty fair fight. If Crawford moves up to 147, he's clearly big enough to do that. He's rehydrated to 155 pounds or so. So that's what I really want to see next. Pacquiao versus Crawford if he continues fighting. Tito Nunez is the next question. If Pac were to continue fighting, do you think he beats Crawford? I actually don't. I don't think, see, this is the thing, some people are going to be, what? You don't? And get all mad and stuff in the comment section. I'm not saying it's out of the question, because Pacquiao, I mean, you got to respect Pacquiao. But Crawford, he would have to put in work to beat Crawford. Like, just a simple 1-2, the way, I don't know, I don't think that would just do the trick. I really don't. I think Crawford is very versatile. He has long arms just like Floyd Mayweather. He's ambidextrous. And that's another thing, where Mayweather's a great fighter, but switching to southpaw, he almost fights better in the southpaw stance than he does as an orthodox. That could be a real problem, because if he's that comfortable as a southpaw, Pacquiao's claim to fame, the shot that he hurts everybody with, is that straight left, right? But if it's two southpaws, to land that shot based on the positioning and the angle you're at, it's less effective. Just there's certain things, like if you're a right-hander like Mayweather and you're doing the shoulder roll based on, and you're fighting a lefty, that's why Mayweather doesn't do the shoulder roll for large chunks of every fight when he's fighting a southpaw, because you're in perfect line to get blasted with the straight left or left hand, right? Same thing with if Pacquiao were to fight Crawford and Crawford switches to southpaw, which he's arguably better as a southpaw when he fights. That could be a real problem, because Pacquiao's money shot, you can say he's a two-handed fighter now with Freddie Roach, but he's really not. Like, he does a little bit more with his right hand. He's better than like Edeslandi Lara and Adonis Stevenson are really left-hand dominant, and they don't really do much at all with their right hand. Like I was watching Lara versus Delvin Rodriguez. I mean, and the crazy thing is that they're that effective. Lara versus Delvin Rodriguez, he was trashing Delvin Rodriguez, and it was all really with his left hand. He doesn't really set up much or really do much with his right hand. So Pacquiao has probably elevated his right hand, so it's not as bad as like an Adonis Stevenson or Edeslandi Lara, that he's relying on the left so much. He probably can hurt you with the right, but it's his money punch is his left hand, and it's harder to land that shot that he wants to land on a southpaw because of the positioning. So I think that's a real difficult fight. It's really a 50-50 fight, but Crawford being undefeated, hungry with the youth, I would actually lean towards Crawford. And Pacquiao's never been the most technically sound guy. Crawford is technically sound. Some people complain, oh, he gets hit too much. I think Crawford is a smart fighter. He knows who he can do what with, because I seen him live when he fought Ray Beltran, a Pacquiao sparring partner. Clearly, so there's no dumb comments, I'm not comparing Ray Beltran to Pacquiao. But what I'm saying is, he fought Deary Jean and Hank Lundy, two guys that pissed him off. He fought them totally different than he fought Ray Beltran, because I was there live. He fought Ray Beltran in a more educated, slicker manner than he fought Hank Lundy. I think he wanted to make a statement with Hank Lundy and Deary Jean because of the camps were trash talking. So he probably opened himself up more early to land his power shots and things like that. But if he's in there with Pacquiao, I really feel in my heart of all hearts, he's not going to be foolish enough to fight a horrible, dumb fight where he's just coming out. You know what I mean? Like, because when Crawford, he has wrinkles to his game. Because watch it. He fought Bradis Prescott, and that was on 2 weeks' notice, a big Colombian puncher. He fought that, and he didn't start showboating or doing anything until he had the fight. He had the bull by the horns. He really had the fight under complete control. So if you're in there with a legend like Pacquiao, I really don't believe that he's going to just come out and go balls to the wall and just fight a dumb fight. You know what I mean? I think he would try to have a chess match and be cautious because he knows who he's in there with. So I think Crawford has that ability to fight more aggressive, but know when not to fight as aggressive based on who he's in there with. And that's just my honest opinion. Next question is from Corey Kush. Ego, I enjoy the channel and I'm a big fan. I will try this question for the 4th time. Damn. As it never get answered and seems to be avoided. Listen, I don't duck or dodge anybody's question. I get to them if I see them and it's a good question. Obviously, I selected it now, so it must have been good. Who wins, Floyd of 2005 or Floyd 2015? Somebody stole my question and asked Leonard Ellerby it recently. If they're the same weight, I would say 2005 Floyd. I mean, I'm trying to think of who he was fighting at 2005. Like, I'm not really quite sure at what stage, if that was around the Hatton time. Hold on, I gotta look it up now because you brought that up. I gotta see who he was fighting. Was he fighting Chop Chop in 2005? Because I think the Hatton was later than that. Let's see who Floyd. Easy work. Who was he fighting in 2005? Oh, he was fighting Zab Judah, Shamba Mitchell, Gotti. Oh yeah, I would pick that Floyd. I mean, if obviously they have to be the same size because he was in a lighter division when he was fighting Brussels and Gotti and Sharmba Mitchell and stuff like that. But I would choose that Floyd because he was more offensive minded, and he still had a good defense. So yeah, Pretty Boy Floyd. That was the Pretty Boy era when he was beating Judas and stuff right around that time. Yeah, I would pick that Floyd. This Floyd is the evolved Floyd. 2015 Floyd he's really hard to beat, especially for the new breed of fighters. Really hard to beat, but he's more economical with his punches, more precise. He has brittle hands, so he's not as offensive, things of that sort. But if Pretty Boy Floyd or the 2005 Floyd that you're saying was fighting the 2015 Floyd and they were the same size, I'm going with the Floyd that was more offensive. He was fast, probably a little bit faster. He's still fast. He always has a reflex, but he's just an animal at 2005 when he was fighting Judas and stuff like that. King of adjustments, things like that. So great question. Fourth time was the charm. I got to it. And next question is El Pelion. I don't even know what this says. 13. Ego, who do you see Mikey Garcia fighting for his comeback fight? Really don't know because I don't know where he's going to campaign. I think he should take a fight where he should be the favorite. And I'm not saying, I condone cherry picking, but he's been out for a while. So I would say a scrappy fight like a Omar Figueroa. Now Figueroa has a chance, but technically speaking, Mikey Garcia is much better. So he should be the favorite versus a guy like Omar Figueroa at 140. But I think a fight like that is what he should come back to. It would be fun for the crowd. It's a guy who's going to make you work, a volume puncher, never been stopped. If you could stop Omar Figueroa, that'd be good. You know what I mean? I've interviewed Omar Figueroa's dad in the past. He's sparred with Edwin Valero, rest in peace, things of that sort. So I think he should come back to that level of opposition. Don't just go after Crawford or Broner or somebody who's been more active and things like that. And I think he's campaigning at 140. I'm not sure if it's a catch weight, 140, 147. So that's what I think for Mikey Garcia. He should fight basically a middle of the road guy he would probably be favored to beat, just to get him back in the swing of things, back in the groove, and work his way back into the title contention where you left off as a champion. Next question, it's Morgan. What's next for Timothy Bradley? Bradley definitely can bounce back. He only has 2 losses. His 2 losses were to a legend and Manny Pacquiao. I think he should fight Saddam Ali, who's also off a loss. Still a good fighter. That would be a good fight. Maybe a rematch with Jesse Vargas, who's now a champion, if he really wants to go back into that championship fight. He was really dominating Vargas for 11 rounds, but since he's coming off of a loss now, that's an easy title fight that he would get into. And the reason I say easy is because Vargas is claiming he wants it and clamoring for it. So I think those are both really good options. If not that, maybe a Diego Chavez type person, clarify that draw, even though I thought he was winning. Something like that. I think those are the types of fights that Bradley should take now or next. He shouldn't fight Kell Brook or somebody like that. Keith Thurman, Porter winner immediately off of the Pacquiao loss and 2 knockdowns. Get yourself back, get your bearings back, and take it from there. Maybe even a Ruslan Provodnikov rematch if Ruslan beats John Molina, or the winner of that. I don't know if John Molina is willing to come to 147, but if Ruslan beats John Molina, then that's another option. I mean, I would watch that. Next question, Raul Garcia. Ego, do you think Bradley looked better in this fight with Atlas or his previous fight with Joel Diaz in his corner? Honestly, to be honest, and I'm not trying to hedge my bet, I would say it's about the same because he ended up losing in all of them. To me, he lost. So, I mean, whether it was Diaz or Atlas, the outcome was the same. He lost. You know what I mean? Except for the first fight, but I thought he lost the first fight, to be honest. So I didn't really see. I thought he did good in spots of the second. He was looking good the first half, and then he just gassed out and tanked. This was more of a paced approach where he looked good early and he was pacing himself, but then he started making kind of foolish mistakes and not being as offensive. It's like he just doesn't have the Pac Vinci code. He can't for whatever reason can't crack the Pac Vinci code because he keeps doing, the game plan is always subtly off, right? In the second rematch, he was winning the first half of the fight by being super aggressive, but then he gassed himself out trying to load up on every single shot, and Pacquiao made the adjustments. But in this fight, he started off sharp. He was moving, giving Pacquiao some like a moving target and things like that. But he wasn't really being as offensive as he was in the second fight. So I think Teddy Atlas told him to make the switch to throw him more punches, but it was already too late because Pacquiao was in a groove. Pacquiao is a very ebb and flow type of fighter. You do not want him to get into a rhythm, period, because he's unorthodox and he'll control that rhythm, right? Pacquiao, when he's in the swing of things, he's going, right? That's why Mayweather, when he fought Pacquiao, he came out immediately and started bombing on Pacquiao with right hands because he wanted to establish that tempo early. Pacquiao, you don't want to give him no type of head start or confidence or anything like that because he's very awkward, unorthodox. And Bradley just can't seem to fine tune it. He came out super aggressive to the point where he did a Conor McGregor versus Nate Diaz and blew his wad, and he was like tired for the remainder of the fight because he was like over exerting himself, burning too much energy trying to knock the fool out, trying to knock Pacquiao out. But in this fight, he was boxing good, but he wasn't applying enough respectable offense to get Pacquiao to respect him. And then Pacquiao started getting in the groove, landing the 1-2s, then got some knockdown. You know what I'm saying? So Bradley, I can't say he really looked better with Atlas or Diaz. He is about the same to me because he won in spots, won some rounds, but he still lost. And that's pretty much how I seen it. Next question, Sergio Jr. Reynoso. You Canelo's trainer, Reynoso? Oh. Do you think there will be a rematch between Canelo and Cotto, Canelo Cotto 2? Yeah, I could see that. I don't know how soon, but I could definitely see a rematch happening between the two of them. And it doesn't look like Canelo or his team wants to move up to the full middleweight, right? I've seen that. I've seen them do interviews and they said, oh, we're not moving for a couple more fights to the full middleweight. So yeah, if he gets past Khan, I could see that maybe happening for September. Mexican Independence Day weekend, Cotto wants revenge. You know what I mean? Cotto might fight in the summer and fight like a Rosado, Kirkland, or whoever Brandon Rios, whoever they're trying to fight, and get his confidence back. And that would lead perfectly into a November or September fall fight. Next question. Ego, you the man. Thank you. What is your thoughts on AJ moving forward? I like what I'm seeing. Keep growing. A few warm-up fights and challenge Fury, Klitschko, Wilder, or hang under the radar for a few and get a few more fights under his belt before challenging a unification bout. Keep up the good work. You're always there for my boxing fix. Appreciate that. I agree. I think the second part, I think he should have some respectable title defenses, not like absolute bums. I said this earlier in this video. Johan Dupas, a guy like Eric Molina, Andy Ruiz, those types of fighters, Glaskov maybe if he's healed, those types of fighters. He should be the favorite in those fights, but those will be solid, stay busy title defenses where you can gain the momentum and confidence as a heavyweight champion of the world, just like Deontay Wilder did. And then you'll be ready at that point, like, you know what I mean, after you have those fights, if you still have your belt for the Wilder, Klitschko's, and stuff like that. I don't know if Tony Thompson's still fighting. I think he said he would retire. But a guy like that, Derek Chisora, maybe even a David Haye, Cannon Briggs, or the winner of that fight, something like that. Those would be the types of fights that he should fight and then challenge another champion, or even a Luis King Kong Ortiz. Oh, he's an interim champion too. So that's what I think should be the progress. Get your confidence up, get the fight, because he's only 16 fights in. So you don't want to rush that. Even though he's a champion now, you don't want to just immediately, oh, King Kong Ortiz versus AJ. He might not be ready for that because that big-ass Cuban with knockout power has way more, well, I'm not going to say way more. He has a ton of amateur experience, and right now he has probably a better resume. Latif Coyote, he beat Bryant Jennings, who had Klitschko experience coming into their fight. He beat Tony Thompson, who upset David Price. Things of that sort. So, yeah, he should fight those types of people. Amaris Wack, guys like that. And then challenge for a unification with the bigwigs. Next question, Requiem for Pandas. Bradley usually has a granite chin The fight tonight, though, it seems like he was getting knocked down from not so strong punches, but then I'm not the one feeling the punches. No, I don't think they were not strong punches. I think some, like the first one was like looked like he was off balance. The second one, he just got caught, and it's like you said, you're not the one feeling the punches. Pacquiao has pop. Mayweather even said that in an interview. He's like, yeah, Pacquiao got some thump. Like, I mean, Pacquiao, he has pop. So if you out of position, or your head's in a weird position, or your feet aren't perfectly under you, you're gonna go down. And Pacquiao delivers it with speed too. So I think he just got caught. He was just in the wrong positions, predicaments, and Pacquiao clipped him. That's what happens when you're in there with someone like Pacquiao. Next question. Oh, I seen this question, but I'm sorry, I forgot to highlight it. The Amazing Mother Porker. Yo, Ego, are you gonna come out with some merchandise? I plan on it. I really do. So, and what possible opponents can Ward take on? A possible build-up for Kovalev. Crazy thought about Chavez Jr. Anyways, keep up the good work. Much appreciated. Merchandise should be coming soon. And I think I answered this earlier. Skip Gonzalez from Farah. Really, any of those types of names. Better Biev. There's a ton of great. Chavez Jr. I would entertain. So, yeah, I answered that question earlier, but just to reiterate, those are fights that I think would help Ward acclimate to light heavy. Next question, Sanando Huff. Hey, Ego, what do you think Bradley should do after the loss to Pac-Man? What would be a good fight for him next? Thanks for all you do for boxing. # new media. And again, I went over that too. So just to recap, Diego Chavez, Ruslan Provodnikov rematch, Jesse Vargas rematch since he's a champion now, or Saddam Ali. Those are all great fights for him at 147, just to get him back to where he needs to be, work on some things with, I don't know if he's going to keep Teddy Atlas or if he plans on finding someone else, those kind of things. Next question, Siobhan Ford. People were saying Teddy would be the X factor and credit would be given to him for a clear Bradley win. Bradley disappointingly looked worse in this fight. I don't think he looked worse, but that's just me. Then the first two, and he was injured in both fights. Looked like Bradley was thinking, listening too much for a fighter. He fought twice. How do you compare Bradley's performance? And I answered that. Should Teddy get the criticism and Joe get praise? Bradley versus Broner. Yeah, if it can happen, I would watch Bradley versus Broner for sure. Again, I mentioned this earlier. Teddy and Joel, different training styles, different trainers. Bradley looked about the same. He probably won about the same amount of rounds in the second and third fight to me. You know what I mean? Maybe a little bit less in the third fight, maybe. I don't know. I'd have to tally it up. But, I mean, bottom line is he lost. And he looked good in spots of both of those fights. So, I'm not going to say Teddy did much better than Joel Diaz. It's, you know what I mean? It's like one person got a B and one person got a B- on a report card. It's not too drastic. It's not like one person got an A+ and one person got an F. So I didn't really see his performances in the past fights where I'm not, you know what I'm saying? It's not like he was dominating in any of them. To be honest, he looked good in spots in all the fights. But there's other parts where he was allowing Pacquiao to come on too much. So I'm not going to praise either trainer. Next question is KD Reynolds. Do you think Shannon Briggs will knock out David Haye? I do. Laugh out loud. Let's go, champ. I don't know. It's a possibility. Briggs has power, and the other thing is I'm surprised how many people seem intimidated by Briggs. He's doing all that like let's go, champ, and like they seem kind of quiet. And we have to keep in mind David Haye is a person who slapped a fighter at a press conference. I forgot. Maybe Derek Chisora. I forgot off the top of my head, but yeah, he slapped the shit out of a fighter. You know what I mean? But when it came to Cannon Briggs was playing on his hair. Look at his hair, champ! Like, and he looked mad, but he kind of looked worried, like he didn't do nothing. You know what I mean? He's touching your hair and like, let's go, champ. Yeah, I said yeah. Like, he was just wilding, and David Haye just took it. So, and he interrupted your press conference, and you look kind of spooked in too. So, I don't know. It's possible that he could knock out Haye. And Haye's been on a long layoff, and Briggs is probably more formidable than the guy he's about to fight, and then the Michael Moretti or whoever he knocked out in one round for his comeback fight. So, yeah, it's really a 50-50 fight. One's been super inactive and quote-unquote was retired, and the other guy is 44 years old, it could go either way, to be honest. Last question, Wake Up World 100. Do you think after Manny Pacquiao just beat Tim Bradley that he deserves a rematch with Floyd Mayweather? Absolutely not. If Mayweather Jr. fights Manny Pacquiao again, he must be careful. I don't think he deserves a rematch because I thought he was a poor sport in the first fight. Never really gave credit. I don't even think he thanked God after his performance. And the story just became really consistent. Pacquiao's a guy you always have to be careful about. You know what I mean? I think he showed that in the 4th round. But Mayweather typically does better in rematches, i.e. Castillo, i.e. Maidana. So I think Mayweather would probably beat him more convincingly because he knows what he's going in, and he's a perfectionist. He knows what he got clipped with in the last fight. And we have to keep in mind, Bradley hurt. I think Bradley has less power than Mayweather. That's me. When it comes to speed, precision, and stuff, I think Mayweather has more snappy power. I mean, listen to guys, there's interviews, search on the internet, where Mayweather says that, or excuse me, like Shane Mosley said that Canelo and Mayweather hit about the same, and De La Hoya and Mayweather hit about the same. Like, you know what I'm saying? He was making comparisons to Canelo's power and Pacquiao's power, and I think De La Hoya did it too, where he said Mayweather and Pacquiao hit about the same. So, I mean, I think Mayweather's power, I'm not saying he's gonna just destroy you like David Tua, but he still has respectable enough power, and Pacquiao was hurt by Bradley. So yeah, you always have to be careful with a guy like Pacquiao because he's awkward and you don't know his next move. However, I would picture Mayweather probably sharpening up because he's been in there with Pacquiao, and there's not as much on the line in a rematch. The first fight, there was so much shit talking, there was the drug test, there were 5 years of debate, and Mayweather came out victorious. So I think the pressure would actually be less, because that was the fight. If either fighter didn't want to lose any fight in their career, that was the one. So there was more pressure on that fight for Floyd. And I'm not going to say Floyd was scared, but if you watch Floyd's ring walks and weigh-ins and stuff like that, he looked more like on edge for the Pacquiao fight than he did for Ricky Hatton or Maidana or Cotto or whatever. He looked a lot calmer in those fights, the build-ups for those fights, the ring walks. I think he knew how big, because this was a epic fight, the most viewed fight in boxing history. You know what I mean? So it was just a lot riding on it. You don't want to get anything happen. You know what I mean? Accidental cuts. You don't want to slip and then they call it a knockdown. You know what I mean? There's so much that could go happen, because anything, if he looked like shit, that would be his legacy and his resume and all that was on the line. If he looked bad versus Pacquiao, people would be like, haha, this is why you avoided Pacquiao. You didn't want to fight him for 5 years because you're getting destroyed. So he knew how much was riding on it. But now he has that monkey off his back, so to speak, because the fight's already happened. He already holds a win over Pacquiao. He got to experience sharing the ring with Pacquiao. So I honestly think a rematch would play out the same, if not worse. And that wraps up Monday Mail Day. I try to get to a lot of questions in depth. Let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like my video. As always, hate, comment, and subscribe. Till next video is Ego signing off. So if you enjoyed this video and want more content like this on the channel, you can show your appreciation by going to the PayPal donate button or the YouTube support button. And you can donate any amount that you feel is equivalent to the value of this video. Much more to come. Thank you guys for your support. Boxing Ego, the future of boxing.